Good afternoon, Club 17. Looking forward to our program today. We're going to have a great presentation by Bobby Spann, who's joining us from CVG. Bobby is the Vice President of External Affairs, and Candace McGraw had a bit of a business emergency this morning. We really appreciate Bobby filling in for us, so thank you for that. And we're going to get going with the Pledge of Allegiance led by John Farmeyer. And next we'll have the invocation and four-way test led by Jane Burkett.
Good afternoon, Club 17. Please pray with me. Dear Lord, we are thankful for this day that you have given us, for its blessings, opportunities, and challenges. May we appreciate and use each day wisely, continuing to pray for strength and guidance as it comes, for daily duties, and yes, daily problems. May we be challenged to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence with us. And let us always remember our purpose, service above self, to better our community. Thank you also for the opportunity as business leaders to have a wonderful airport to call home, and for the leadership and guidance from Candace McGraw and Bobby Spann. May we continue our success in the community throughout the coming years. Amen. And now for the things we think, say, and do as Rotarians. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Jane. And Tim Hirschner is going to introduce our guest today.
Thank you, President Brett. We have with us today one guest, Craig Feltner. Please stand. He is with Supporting Strategies, and he is a guest of West Bato. Welcome.
Thanks, Tim. And now we're going to do something we like to do every year, which is to recognize anniversaries of club membership in 5-year increments. And Deanne Fleming, as our membership director, is going to lead us in that.
Hello. I'd like to offer the following congratulations. There's a PowerPoint. You can see the pictures of those who are celebrating these anniversaries. For their 5th anniversary, we have Scott Brendamore, Michelle Calkins, need my glasses, Mary Dornetti, Rick Fenley, Carl Gruninger, Patty Horwitz, Madeline Lajeunesse, Ariel Miller, Bill Powell, Dan Riccardi, Jan Ressman, Dawn Yunker, and Dave Ziegler. Congratulations to those on the 5th anniversary. And we have 4 people celebrating their 10th anniversary. Jim Eichmann, Chad Nieder, Eric Petway, and Mark Reckman. Congratulations to them. Celebrating their 15th anniversary, we have Deb Cayley, Julie Calloway, Brad Green, who's here, Mark Horwitz, and Bren Ryan. They're 15. Congratulating those who have been 20 years with Club 17. We have Kay Atkins, Gino Colangelo, Brad Glazer, and Judy Pogue. Congratulations to them. And coming up with 25 years, Ed Atchison, and I believe he's here somewhere. "30 years, we have Pete Armstrong, Kathy Machinga, Tim Marcagi, Brian Miller, Deborah Schultz, and Jack Scott, and I saw him here. Congratulations to you. "35 years, sorry. We have Gary Kendall, Paul Carilla, and Owen Ressman. Congratulations. "40 years, Frank Dawson and Kent Lutz. 45 years, Don Nyer. 50 years, Julian Magnus. And one, last but not least, 55 years with us, Dean Godden. Congratulations to everyone. Thank you.
That's wonderful to see. We have a wonderful club. I'm not surprised people join and stay a long time, which is great. So we've got a number of announcements today, and just want to start with a reminder. When you're finished eating, if you could put your mask back on, we're going to try to be as safe as we can be, and we're doing everything in compliance with the protocols in Ohio. So thanks again, and by the way, I just want to say thanks for everyone who came in person today. That's wonderful. We also thank the people who are joining on Facebook Live today as well, part of our key audience. Just a few announcements. We had a very good project last Saturday. Now, I heard recently that I think Ohio has closed saunas and steam rooms. But last Saturday morning, we had a sauna, and it was great. We were at Norwood. It was a hot morning, but a nice sunny day. We got a ton of work done. You might have seen some of the slides for that as you came in today of people on the project. We had 19 Rotarians there. We also had 3 family members. It's great to have family members join our projects as well. And one of the Rotarians there was our district governor-elect, Carol Hughes from Springboro. It was nice that Carol came down. Melinda, thank you for inviting her down to help with that. I also want to give a special thanks to Bill Stilley and Brian Vielhauer and Mary Ronan, who helped set up that project. Now, I think you've heard at this point that the picnic, which is August 22nd, has morphed into a car rally and an ice cream social, which should be a lot of fun. So Saturday morning, August 22nd, in conjunction with the Southern Ohio Antique Car Club of America, we're going to have an antique car show rally, which is going to roll through various scenic parts of Claremont County. It'll start at 9:30 in the morning. It'll leave Camp Allen and stop at a number of places, including the Covered Bridge in Stone Lick Township. I was just out that way the other day, as well as the Adena Indian Mound and the Ohio Canine Memorial and some others. We'll also do a drive-by for the Sem Villa retirement community so we can honk the horns and wave to the people and give them a chance to see some of the neat cars, both classic and antique, and even minivans and SUVs and whatever a lot of us drive. So feel free to come in any kind of car, and if you want to join it, you can caravan through Claremont County. We are also going to do what's called a poker run, and that means every time we stop, anybody who's part of that rally will get a playing card, and at the end of the rally, we'll go back to Camp Allen. We'll get there about 3:30. We'll have an ice cream social there, and whoever has the best poker hand they've collected, will win a $100 gift card, Amazon gift card. So it'll be a lot of fun. The adults, it's $10 to enter to be part of it. Children 13 and under are free. and looking forward to that. And I just want to give a shout out to the committee chairs who are running that, Chris Adams, Angie Ferguson, and Owen Rassman. And if you have any questions about that car rally ice cream social, please talk to one of the co-chairs. But love to have you join it. It'll be a lot of fun. And on a different note, we've got a couple of things in terms of the foundation and Believe to Achieve. One is that the silent auction items have actually started or opened in click bid for the next week. You'll have a chance to bid on 2 items. One is a 1-week package down in Orlando, a 2-bedroom villa from September 27th to October 4th. The other is a Cincinnati staycation, which is going to be 4 admission passes to Coney Island, 2 passes to Kings Island, a 2-hour trail ride for 4 riders at Camp Ernst, and a $75 gift card to the Yard House. So you've probably seen some details in your email already, but look at E-Raise. Would love to have people bid on those items. It would be great. And I wanted to announce for the foundation that this year, Believe to Achieve will be virtual. And we want to show good support for the 3 organizations that we have supported over the years. Those organizations have gone through a lot of challenges during this time of COVID-19. They very much need and would like our support. And we'll be able to do that virtually through events that will culminate on September 19th in the evening. And there'll be more announcements coming on the details about that, but look for that. And one of the things that we've talked about already as a club the last 2 or 3 weeks is we'll continue to be engaged in any way that we can productively be engaged. And that means at times we'll be somewhat limited, and we're just following the right protocols. That's why Believe to Achieve will be virtual this year, but we would love to get, and the foundation would love to have active support from the club, as always. It's been great. Wrapping up with members in the news, please help us congratulate our new member, Erin Fockey, on her recent engagement to fiancé Dan. And now I would like to introduce our speaker, and give me 1 second. So I mentioned Bobby Spann, the Vice President of External Affairs for Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky International Airport, has been flexible and kind enough to join us today. We've had a chance to chat a bit. Bobby is a native of Nashville, Tennessee. He's made his career in the airline industry, spent in a couple of big positions at Delta as well as Eastern Airlines before he moved to this area in 2011 to become VP of External Affairs for CVG. There is a lot going on at CVG. A lot of us have been following the news, a lot of exciting things in terms of a lot of awards that our airport has won. 7 out of the 8 years recently, it has been named the best airport of its size in that category in the United States. It's even being recognized internationally. There's been a huge effort to attract low-cost carriers, both international and domestic, and I want to say as a user of the airport, thank you very much. We all thank you. And there's been some great work in terms of cargo development. We have a huge cargo capacity in terms of the amount of cargo carriers in and out of here, major hubs that I'm sure Bobby will say a bit more about in his presentation. But it's exciting. It's exciting for those of us who aren't even pilots or in that industry, and I know we have a number of aviators, pilots in our group who are every bit as excited. So just want to ask that you give Bobby a big round of applause. We're really glad that he's joining us today. Thank you so much.
Let's see if I can remove my mask for a few minutes in the That tearing off my hearing aid. One of my biggest consequences of working in the airline industry was losing my hearing because I was too close to those jet engines for too many years. So I've got a little assistance on that. But it is a pleasure to be with you today, and Candace McGraw certainly sends her regrets to you. She would have loved to have been here. She called me last night about 9 p.m. and said, I've had a change in my schedule that I have to adjust to with our strategic plan meeting this morning. And I'm glad to substitute for her and pinch hit today with you. I'm a lover of the Rotary Club. My family is a longtime investor in the Rotary Club. Very much support your mission and your cause. And my father was one of those that hit 50 years at one point in time in his life, and my brother is quickly working towards that in Brentwood, Tennessee as an officer. But congratulations to you, and thank you for all you do as a member of of the community. And talking about CVG today, my primary job at CVG is in the marketing division. I'm the primary recruiter of airlines to CVG. My job is to go around the world, go around the country, develop relationships with the airlines and sell them on our community. So very much an economic development type a role for the airport. And we've had a big run over the last 8 or 9 years. We've had a lot of success. And we've got a lot of to be proud of in terms of our foundation at CVG. So we certainly have changed the model at CVG, and I look forward to talking to you a little bit about that. So looking at our screen, I know that the screen's a little bit distant for some of you, especially on this side of the room, so I'll try and talk to the bullet points that are there. But kind of giving you a background on where we were in 2019. We accomplished one of our all-time highs in terms of passenger volumes at CVG with 9.1 million passengers coming through the terminals. We are now the 7th largest cargo airport in North America, which is something to be extremely proud of, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in detail. The campus that makes up CVG is kind of a city within a city. Over 14,500 badged employees come and go from the facility on a daily basis, and that's the 7,700-acre campus where we have the badged employees. That is up significantly over the last 3 or 4 years with the growth of DHL and the introduction of Amazon to the campus. Our economic impact is also growing. This is a key initiative of Candace and the leadership team of CVG, is to make sure that as the front door to our community, we are creating those opportunities to grow the economy and jobs in our region. And we just finished our latest economic impact study based on 2018 information, which produced a economic impact of $6.8 billion, and that was up from $4.4 billion in the 2016 study. So we're making good progress in terms of growing the impact that CVG has on our region and our community. Looking at the next slide, some of the key focus points on our strategic plan that we're wrapping up. We're getting ready to introduce our next strategic plan, which will be from 2021 to 2025. This is the last year of our current plan, and these are the key initiatives that we're wrapping up. We had a goal coming into 2016. At that point, we were at about 5.4 million total passengers, but our goal is to hit 9.4 million. We were well on our way of hitting that. We hit 9.1, as I said, in 2019. We only needed to grow by 300,000 this year to hit that 9.4. And we blew January out of the water, blew February out of the water, and then March hit, and COVID hit. And then COVID hit in April. COVID's still here in May. COVID is still here in June. And unfortunately, we're going to miss that target, but we're going to kind of lean on the backs of what we did in 2019 to kind of build our platform for moving forward. As far as growing our business, we're very focused on land leases around the airport property. We're really focused on that economic impact. Our goal for this strategic plan was $5 billion. As I said, we've already hit $6.8 billion. And we had go to elevator services by eliminating some of the obsolete facilities. So if you've been there in the last couple of years, you've noticed that Terminals 1, Terminals 2 have been removed. We're in the process of building a new consolidated rental car facility. And we're always measuring our performance on the global stage. And as Brett mentioned, we recently were named the #1 airport for regional airports in the world based on North America. So we're very proud of the way that we are stacking up and we're performing on our passenger metrics. Looking at some of the key stats about CVG as it relates to our diversification at this point in time with the COVID crisis taking place, if you go back and look at CVG in 2008, 2009, we weren't very diversified. We're a very big airport, very strong airport, but it was all about one thing, and that was being a Delta hub. And I was very familiar with that. I was at Delta at that point in time in Atlanta. But it really was set up on a one brand, live or die. And the situation that we were in with about 95% passenger, about 5% cargo, and of the passenger, roughly 95% of the passenger was one airline. So one brand, Delta pretty much defined who CVG was. And at that point in time, that was fine. It served the community well, it served the airport well. But we had to change over the time, and as mergers and acquisitions took place in the industry in the teens, it was proven to us that we had to diversify who the airport was. We had to have more than one major carrier at the airport providing service. We needed to have more cargo. So DHL came in a big way, and we are really proud of the operation that they're doing. But the pie chart that you see there is about 41% passenger operations in 2019 and about 59% cargo operations. That simply means that you've got a well-diversified platform of airline operations, so your eggs aren't all in one basket. And that has served us well, especially over the last 4 months as we've managed through the COVID crisis. So kind of looking at our footprint as an air service piece on the CVG picture, pre-COVID, we were running about 180 flights a day, about 55 nonstop destinations, and we had about 12,000 people on a daily basis going through our TSA facility at the checkpoint. Roughly about 90% of everybody in the airport was going and coming through our front door, and that's a dramatic change from who CVG used to be. CVG used to be a predominant connecting hub, one gate to the next, and that's what made up the bulk of its operation. But today, we're all about the front door. We're all about being the community server, if you will. And over 90% of all of our passenger traffic is going and coming through our front doors in the community. We're served by 9 passenger airlines with about 17 operating carriers of that. Brett mentioned the low-cost carriers at CVG, and they're really the contributor to what you're seeing on the slide now. A couple of days ago, I guess it was Tuesday of this week, we announced the first quarter 2020 Airfare report from the DOT, and this has become something that I think we take for granted now, that CVG is a low-fare leader in our country, a low-fare leader certainly in our region. We consistently have the lowest airfares of any airport within roughly 120 miles of us. So all of those people who used to go to Dayton or Indy or Columbus or Louisville to find a cheaper fare back in the day when CVG had higher fares, that's no longer the case. They're all coming back to CVG, and everybody in those other airport regions are now coming here. But based on the most recent reports, we came in at about $316 on an average fare compared to the national average of $336. So we're $30 or $20 lower than the national average. 78th in the country in terms out of the top 100 in terms of the lowest average airfare. So very proud at this point. I only think this is going to continue to get better, not for the right reasons though. It's obviously because the passenger demand is so low and the airlines are having to do everything they can to stimulate what travel there is. In April of this year, airfares were down about 14 to 15%, and then in May they were down between 30 and 40%. So when June numbers come out and we get the second quarter calculations, I expect the numbers to even be lower than what you're seeing on the slide right now. Looking at the next slide, we certainly want to talk a little bit about what COVID has brought to the airport and how we're adjusting to it. It really has decimated the global air travel industry. There is no corner of the world that is not being negatively impacted by this. But CVG and all airports of its nature are essential businesses. We have to adjust. We have to find a way to continue to serve the community. And it's all about safety. It's all about making sure that we are doing the things that are going to keep you safe and comfortable. When the crisis originally hit in mid-March and the passenger situation went south, we were only clearing about 90 to 95%, or excuse me, about 5 to 10% of what we had done the same period in 2019. So passenger volumes were down 90 to 95%. Over the course of the last month, that's rebounded to where we're only down about 70 to 75%. So we got a 20% improvement. We're very excited about that recovery. Unfortunately, now we're starting to see another decline because of the resurgence that we're seeing in the virus. And if we look into August and we look into September, we're starting to go back towards those levels that we saw in April and May. There's been many temporary cancellations that we're having to work on the air service side. The Paris route, again, we're the only airport in our region that has nonstop service to Europe. That flight has been suspended now since the COVID crisis began. And really, it's all about demand. There's not any demand to go to Europe at all right now. And besides that, you have the quarantine issues once you get to Europe and vice versa once you get here from Europe. And it's just not an opportunity for us to restart that flight yet. Canada is in the same situation, so Air Canada has suspended operations at CVG as well. So other things that we've done at the airport, we have closed many of our parking lots. Simply, there's not demand there, but we've consolidated all the parking into our garage facility. We've reduced the rate in the garage $10 a day. And that gives a good, comfortable number between what the normal long-term parking rate is and what our normal short-term parking rate is for the garage. But please keep that in mind if you're venturing out to the airport. All the parking is in the terminal garage now at a $10 a day rate. Looking at the next slide, Candace did want us to spend some time talking about what we're doing at the airport to make sure that we're doing our part to keep you safe and comfortable. We do expect a very slow return to normal passenger levels. Again, 2019 being our normal passenger levels, we are looking at a 24 to 36 month recovery. Before we see the same levels that we had in 2019, we're probably going to be into 2020, late 2022, early 2023. So this is going to be an extended period of adjustment for the airport. As far as what we're encouraging you to do is, again, follow the CDC guidelines, follow the government guidelines as it relates to flying healthy. Do not fly when you're sick. Use the cloth face masks coverings as we're doing here today. Practice the social distancing and regularly disinfect those objects. We have deployed, if you've been out to the airport lately, we've deployed the plexiglass pretty much on every ticket counter and every passenger conversation touch point to where you're dealing with agents or other members of the operation at CVG. And we're continuing to enhance our cleaning facilities and our procedures at the airport, especially all the high-touch surfaces. CVGAirport.com is our primary communication source at the Fly Healthy section on our website. We certainly invite you to go to the website at cvgairport.com/flyhealthy, where you'll have all the latest information as it relates to the airport and how it's been impacted, along with tips and suggestions on how to fly and stay healthy on your travel. But please take a look at that if you're planning to travel coming up soon. Now, one of the things that I put on the slide right here, right now, is about our 2050 master plan. So despite everything that's taken place, where we're actually, going backwards in terms of our demand and the recovery is going to be a slow 2 to 3 year process, every 5 years we have to update our master plan. And the master plan that we're working on right now is our 2050 update for the FAA, and they require us to do this. And the thing about your master plan, demand dictates what you execute in your master plan. But we have laid out approximately 25 projects at CVG over the next 30 years that are going to require a significant amount of resources for us to implement. And just over the next 5 to 10 years, we've got a list of projects that are requiring about $600 million in investment to keep CVG positioned for growth going into the future. This particular chart, if you can see it, kind of outlines those 25 different projects. We're going to have the terminal expansion. We're out of ticket counter space for new carrier entrants, and we're going to continue to recruit new carriers into CVG. But we've got to have some expanded space for ticket counters, as well as some additional gates around Concourse A. We need to update our international federal inspection services where we're clearing customs coming into the main terminal as opposed to in Concourse B. That's a key initiative and a key focus point for us. But a long list of initiatives and things that need to be addressed on our master plan. But again, demand will dictate at the pace and the level that we execute on this over the next 5 to 10 years. So that'll be on our website as well if you have interest in looking at that a little bit further. As Brett said, cargo is playing a key role in our airport operation right now. In the month of June, which we just wrapped up and presented to our board last week, landed weight is a key financial metric of our airport. How much landed weight is coming from passenger operations, how much is coming from cargo operations. And as I said, being diversified, especially during this time, is good, because if we were all passenger, we'd be in a rough place right now, with the passenger operations being down as much as they are. But out of all of the landed weight that we had in June, about 83% of that came from cargo operations and only 17% came from passenger operations. So thank you, DHL, and thank you, Amazon, for stepping up and being a key contributor towards CVG. In 2019, we moved over 1.2 million tons of cargo through CVG, and going into this year, cargo is already up year over year 13% compared to 2019. So cargo is certainly having the inverse response to COVID that passenger has. A lot of that has to do with the e-commerce growth. People living at home, working from home, staying home. Everything seems to be going through the internet purchase process today, and we've seen an explosion of e-commerce transactions that are being activated and supplied through the hubs of DHL and Amazon here at CVG. As you know, CVG is home to DHL, one of 3 global super hubs that they have in the world. More than 90% of all DHL's America's movements, that's South America, Central America, Mexico, Canada, and obviously the US, come through the CVG hub on a nightly basis, and it's only growing. One of the results of having a strong DHL and a strong Amazon operation is that Atlas Air, which is a major operator for those companies, has decided to build a new $34 million operations center in Erlanger that will support their operations, which are only going to be growing with Amazon here at CVG. So cargo is definitely a core economic driver, and while a lot of airports around the country are having to lay people off and close facilities, CVG is in a position where we've maintained our staff. Our commitment is to maintain our staff and our facilities without any closures, and DHL and Amazon in our cargo operation is a key contributor to that. Now, I've mentioned to you before, CVG is a 7,700 acre facility in northern Kentucky, but not all of those acres are directly tied to either an aircraft apron or a runway. We have a lot of land that's part of the airport property that can never be used to facilitate the operations of aircraft or aviation. So we're looking at new opportunities to continue diversifying the revenue of the airport property and the economic impact of the property by leasing, making long-term leases on new facilities. And this is kind of a list of new facilities. If you've been out to the south side of the airport, you may have seen the Wayfarer distribution center. We've had many different warehouse facilities that have been completed in 2007 and 2008. I won't go over each one of them in the interest of time, but really, if you look at this particular picture, there's one thing I wanted to focus on, and that was the big blue blob that you see at the bottom. It's got Amazon on it. That is the 650 acres that is currently under development for the new Amazon Air hub. And I'll show you some more pictures of that in just a second. The light blue sections you see at the top, that is another 300 acres that Amazon has under lease on option for the next phase of their development at CVG. So it's going to be an interesting next 10 to 15 years. Now, speaking specifically to Amazon and the Air Hub project, it was announced in 2017 that Amazon is going to be building its primary North American hub at CVG. The Site 1, or the Phase 1 project, to really begin in earnest in spring of 2019. The partnership with DHL that Amazon has developed, where Amazon uses the DHL sort facility in the day and DHL uses it at night, has worked out perfectly, and it's been a good for both companies. Amazon is now operating 20 aircraft from CVG, and they're looking to add a few more later on this year. So with a full build-out, Amazon Air's operation is going to involve, as I said, about 900 acres. The local workforce is initially expected to be at about 2,000 people, and the total economic impact or investment in CVG's property is going to be about $1.5 billion, so certainly nothing to sneeze at there. What you're looking at on this simple picture here at the end of our center runway on the south side of the airport field, that's what the leased area of land looked like in the start of 2019. And if you look at it now, this is what it looks like. It's been completely set up for the construction. The sort facility is already well underway. But that entire brown area that's been cleared at the end of that runway is going to be the new Amazon Air hub. It will have the capability of parking over 100 large wide-body aircraft when it is fully complete in 2021. So very proud of the project that's taken place at CVG as it relates to Amazon. Another project that it developed out of the DHL and Amazon operations is the theme hangar. This past year, we opened up this new hangar facility just off the taxiway next to the Amazon project. And this was a project that is bringing significant employment in aircraft mechanics in that sector with very large salaries and starting in between $65,000 and $70,000. So this is a great opportunity for new job growth to take place at CVG. The theme hangar, which is real close to our offices there as well. I mentioned to someone earlier today that we're also expanding new cargo facilities, not for DHL or Amazon, but for third-party operators. Federal Express, for example, operates 2 aircraft a day at CVG, and we've built a new Aeroterm cargo facility on the north side of the airport facility, replacing some of our older facilities, and that's been going extremely well, and the facility is already full, and we're looking to expand that going forward. As I said earlier, as part of our strategic plan, we wanted to build a new consolidated rental car facility. This will eliminate all the busing operations that we have with our rental car operations and enable passengers to walk from their gate to their rental car that will be picked up connected to the terminal. And this facility is making great progress. If you've been at the airport lately, the facade of the airport or the facility is already up, and they're working on the garage facilities for the rental cars. So encourage you to take a look at that, but that's going to make a significant difference in the way our airport operates in the face of the airport as well. It's going to be completed about third quarter of 2021, so just about another year. This is a current picture of the way the CONRAC is coming together in terms of its footprint right now at the facility. So I promised Brett I would allow time for some questions, but again, on behalf of Candace and the airport leadership team, we view this as an opportunity to share our message and our story with the community. You're certainly key leaders in our community, and we thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here. We encourage you to travel, but travel when you're ready, and follow the CDC guidelines when you do travel. It's certainly an interesting time when my job is to go out and recruit people and new airlines and things to come to the airport, but then you get the travel advisories suggesting that you not travel to 9 states, and those 9 states represent 40% of the operations at your airport. So you find yourself, okay, what do I do? Well, you always go for safety first. And we're going to recover from this. We're going to be fine, but first, safety first. So we'll have you here to do that with us when the time is right. So I recognize many of your faces. I hope that some of you will be comfortable asking some questions. Questions? Yes, sir.
You mentioned that because of demand, you have the potential for a $600 million investment in the airport as demand comes. And you mentioned that all the packaging, a lot of income from that. Do you think that's going to be enough to pay for all these, or do you think that you're going to have to, what other income sources might you have to have?
Well, what I was Sure. Question was about the reference I made in our 2050 master plan. We've outlined an initial phase of projects that would cost approximately $600 million. Again, demand will activate those projects at the appropriate time, but a lot of those projects are funded through a combination of federal grants as well as other revenue sources on the airport. So yes, we'll have the resources or we won't do them, quite honestly. But if the demand is where it is, that will trigger those funding sources as well as the federal grants that we qualify for as part of our passenger volumes. So yes, the money will be there. Yes, sir. Has U.S. Customs committed to keeping up with the increase in international operations? Or the certainly, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol are great partners for the airport. Obviously, DHL can't function without them. They've stepped up to the plate. Obviously, the fact that we don't have the Paris flight, we don't have some of the Mexico flying that we did, the Punta Cana flight is not flying, has given us the opportunity to utilize CBP resources differently than we were because there is no passenger FIS facility requirement right now with the operation we have. So some of those have been reallocated to the DHL facility to help support that. But our federal partnerships are great, and yes, CBP's done a great job. In fact, we're doing better now than we ever have, and we're at all-time record volumes on cargo. Yes, sir. That's the, I was going to say $1 million question. It's more like a $99 billion question. I was a leader at Delta Airlines at the point in 2001 when we went through that crisis, and that certainly was a 2 to 3 year recovery. But that was an enemy. That was a situation that you could identify, you could track, you could see it, and you could kind of know how to react to it. And so the curve was a little bit sharper coming out of it. Of course, we went through the financial crisis shortly thereafter that too, so that was another story. But this is totally different because you can't see it, you don't know exactly how to respond to it. There is no vaccine that's currently in place right now. I think that's going to be the key for travel to return to anywhere close to 2019 is getting a vaccine. But it also depends on the type of travel, and there's 3 different types of travel that are out there. And Brett, I'm going to check the clock. We've got 2 minutes, right? There's 3 different groups of travel. You've got your corporate travel, you've got your family leisure travel, and then you've got your group leisure travel where you have cruises and things of that nature. And those are 3 different groups. We've tracked the corporate sector since mid-March. It's flatlined, minus 92 to 3%. There is no corporate travel taking place except essential travel. There is still some minor health care worker facility type essential travel, but your traditional Procter & Gamble's, your Kroger's, your Fidelity's, they're working from home, and they're doing very well doing that. That's a fear of mine. We're getting really good about working from home, and unfortunately, that may become the new normal to where corporate travel doesn't rebound to where it once was. This summer, we saw a nice bounce back in the individual family travel, people going to visit family and friends and relatives in some of the key beach spots and Florida spots. We got back to almost half of where we were last year, but now that's slipped back to 75 to 80% because of the virus. In the other section, the cruise section, the leisure group type sections, that's flatlined as well. So we're watching all of them very closely so we can respond with the right products and services that are going to meet the type of demand that comes back, but it's going to be very different than what we saw in 9/11. Yes, ma'am. Right. Some of those will never come back. They were a function of the hub. And again, I was the director of international for Delta at the time that those flights were operating. And it was all a function of the hub, where 90 to 95% of the people on those aircraft were connecting from the rest of the country or from Europe. They weren't local to our community here. Only about 5 to 10% at any point in time was traffic on those flights coming from our front door. And because the Delta hub is no longer there and it's been relocated to Detroit, we're dependent upon the local passengers here. Fortunately enough, the Paris operation, with the strong operations from our corporate partners here, with the business class compartment is full every day because they go into Paris and they can connect to multiple points. So that flight is very sustainable without the hub, and it is filled from our local front door people. The next market that has the most opportunity is London. And up until, no big secrets, that's been my number one focus, is to get London service reinstated to CVG. And I believe we were very close to accomplishing that this coming year, but COVID has pushed that back 2 or 3 years. All of the international carriers, as well as our domestic carriers, the outlook for international is very weak. And until there's a vaccine, global vaccine available that's been well distributed and taken, we're not going to see that return. But know that London is our number one priority, followed by Frankfurt, and then Tokyo would be our next one. But the others, again, without a hub operation that feeds the airport, we don't have that type of local demand, especially on a year-round basis. There may be an opportunity for some seasonal spots. But Brett, I think that's our time. Oh, okay. One more question over here? Yes, sir. Again, our number one revenue driver from the airline operations is the landed weight. Every time wheels hit the runway at CVG, there's a charge to that operator of that aircraft based on the type of airplane and the size of the airplane that's being operated. So that is a key financial driver. Obviously, we have the lease arrangements from all the airlines on the terminal facilities, the gates, and the cargo facilities. That's another key driver. And then we have all the land leases that I talked about. Those are key drivers as well. And then the last thing I'll mention is the concessions. The restaurants and the dry goods stores that you see in the airport, there's an opportunity for us to make revenue off of those. But the number one driver is landed weight operations, and that's our key thing that we watch, as it is with any airport in the country. And that's the reason why that cargo operation is so important to us right now. And so we're really in pretty good shape, considering we're taking hits, and we've worked to slash our budgets 20 to 40% to meet our obligations because we're certainly being impacted. But I can't tell you enough how important cargo is, and Amazon and DHL to our community, both on the jobs front as well as the operational front.
That was a great presentation, and when you think about the airport and you think about our greater Cincinnati community, how essential having a really excellent airport with excellent service is. I mean, it's a foundation really for commerce in the area to have that, and we all have real empathy in terms of what you and Candace McGraw and others in leadership have had to do to make adjustments during a really critical time. Those are huge adjustments to make. And we share that with you as a Rotary Club in the sense that we look at our community too. And like any community-minded organization, we're trying to make the right adjustments to help the larger community. So again, we really appreciate what you've shared, Bobby, really helpful. And you do have a bit of a Rotary background. So you'll understand when you heard the four-way test today, we like to give our guest speakers a four-way test coin, which is really a symbol or emblem of our ethical principles. So I'm going to give you that, and I have just another word to add in a minute. I'll ignore that for a minute. So the other thing I want to say and is, you're probably aware that Rotary internationally has been fighting against a disease, one in particular, polio. We really actually were in that effort even before 1988, but as of 1988, we've been part of a huge coordinated effort with some other organizations to eradicate the world from polio. We all would love to eradicate this world from certain viruses and diseases. We're really close with polio. If we just keep our foot on the gas pedal, another few years, it should be done. And in honor of you speaking today, Bobby, our Rotary Club is going to make a donation in your honor to the End Polio Now campaign. So thank you very much again for joining us. And with that in mind, I just want to wish everybody a great weekend. Hope to see you back here next Thursday. Meeting adjourned.